I want to talk about related to gratitude um, and perspective and purpose and attitude. Um, I wanted to talk about finding your golden nugget. It was a game I used to play with my housemate when I was at University of California, Santa Barbara. And it was an interesting house. I was the only guy. There were 3 other young women, each, in with their own rooms. So I rented out a room. Cool house, cool backyard, real gross sofa that we didn't care. Just, smelled like the ocean sea breeze because you're 4 blocks away from the ocean. Like, what a university. Um, and we just hang out there, have, little, fires in a kind of a old brick kind of makeshift chimney thing. It was a cool vibe, um, cool house, and very cool housemates. And, I don't know how it started, but one of my housemates would say, you know, find your 5," and be like, "All right, cool, same." And when we'd leave the house, and off she'd go to work, um, I would go off to, my day of studies, of classes, whatever, and invariably, come evening time, we'd all find ourselves back at the house. I typically cooked, or we'd go on these awesome, chocolate chip craving chocolate chip cookie craving runs. She had a car. We're just broke students with bikes. It's how most kids get around on that campus anyway. So she's like, "Let's go to the store." All right, so we'd go to the store like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, and buy whatever we needed for chocolate chip cookies, and we just talk, making cookies, and then oh god, little while later, eating these warm chocolate chip cookies and just talking about our day. But one of the things we would talk about, and I so came to cherish the whole experience was your 5, your 5 wonderful things. And it was such a brilliant way to start your day because it consciously gave you purpose. Like you're going to class, right? You're going to work. You've got that kind of objective, that destination, but everything in between, you became so much more aware of finding something beautiful, something positive. And again, to the previous episode, talking about attitude, perspective, and purpose, by giving yourself that goal, right? Find 5 beautiful things today. You're now going to find them. You're telling your brain, "Go look for them," right? And so automatically you're adjusting your attitude because no matter what's going on, you're like, "Holy shit, that oh my god, look how beautiful that is." Just whatever it was, right? The sun just gently reflecting off of the autumn tree leaves, the sound of the ocean, just distant over people laughing in the quad. Um, Often there was a grassy knoll where I just loved to study and usually just slept. Um, Watch people passing by, going to their classes. God, it was so warm, and I felt so excited and proud that I had made it to the university, um, that I was kind of experiencing something that I'd worked so hard to achieve, right? That was a beautiful moment. And so and then often you have like 8 or 9, you're like, "I couldn't keep it at 5." And honestly, there were some days where it's like, I feel lucky like I got 3, and that's fine because bigger picture, it wasn't the number, it was the energy behind it to at least take a break from whatever you were doing during the day, um, to look for or even more so, sometimes you weren't even conscious of it, and suddenly you look up and you see something or someone that's just, "Oh my god." Like, how beautiful is that? And that just that surprise, I think adds to the shine of the beauty of whatever it was. So, that was years and years ago, and, it was just you also looked forward to then, getting back home, and cookies or no cookies, just sharing, "So what were your 5?" How to go, and it was such a way to recalibrate because it didn't mean that you necessarily had a great day. Uh, and okay, I had a pretty crappy day, but I managed to find, one beautiful thing. Like, okay, amen. Love it. Like it's right. Better to light a candle than curse the darkness. Eleanor Roosevelt, I believe. It's what do you choose to look at? What do you where do you want to pay your attention? And, to the darkness or the light, despite it being a fragile flicker in the abyss of darkness. I'll take the light, right? I'll take the match, I'll take the candle. And so reliving and through the retelling of those experiences, it put a smile on your face. It would remind you that no one day, no one experience, no one moment is so ever so complete in its terribleness, right? That there's always um, that light of hope, of joy, of beauty, of appreciation. Um, and then you're like, wow, I think I'm gonna add another this moment, right? That we're sharing our beautiful moments today. Uh, just kind of another layer of beauty upon the beauty. So that was something I loved to do, with my housemate, and I kind of forgot about it, and as I became a teacher, back in the day when we had a lot of PD, professional development workshops and activities, and some were mandatory, others were just encouraged, um, they often and I found as I became more and more confident and skilled as a teacher, like, I finally knew what I was doing, um I found a lot of these professional development lectures or workshops to just be tedious. Maybe for like brand new teachers, but even then, it's just like where's the relevancy for me, right? It's teachers. We're a nasty bunch. We are probably the most hypocritical. In any workshop, who's on their phone more than anybody? That would be us. And yet, if our kids are on their phone, right, stop the world. Like, what do you? This is so important. How dare you? Like, get off your high horse. Although there are moments, it was like read the freaking room. Like, read the room. There are moments where get off your phone, like connect. And then there are other moments where it's just whatever. You have an important text, you have an important call to make, whatever. But teachers are picky and and hypocritical, but I just found more and more these workshops were without merit. They just I wanted to be back in class with my kids, right? The time and energy to set up a decent, not busybody, busy worksheet kind of BS activity, the time to create those activities that were still aligned with what you were doing. So it wasn't just a blank day. It was a +1 day. You just didn't have to be there, but you could work on it kind of incorporate it into and build upon it. Sub days are tough. I think for teachers like myself, I don't want to just chalk it off to all right. It's a nothing day. Like it's no, it's another day of opportunity. So anyway, when you contrast the energy and work to come up with something that you think is at least you hope is decent for your kids while you're not there, um, and you contrast that to, and yet I'm here for what? Like, what where's my plus one? Like, we're not getting there. I'm what you're teaching me, what you're showing me is irrelevant to my kids' needs, to me, to my audience. So a lot of miss, not enough hit. And I don't remember exactly why or when, but I do recall it was in the morning as I was getting ready to go to this workshop, and I remembered Find Your Five, and I thought, I'm gonna look for my golden nugget. And so that's what I started calling it. That's what I share with my kids. Find your golden nugget. So here's the work day, the workshop, it's all day, and it can't just be a an easy one like, oh, they gave us free lunch. No, like you know, they're gonna say something, and maybe you just need to kind of bend it a little, adjust it, but find your golden nugget. And in a sense, what you're telling yourself, again, you're setting yourself up with purpose, right? You're telling yourself, create meaning out of whatever dynamic, whatever situation you're in, create meaning, give it value, create value so that you leave plus one. And it was a change of purpose and perspective that then adjusted my attitude for the rest of the day. Everybody else is like, "Oh, this is such BS, and what am I gonna do with this?" and blah blah blah. Like, then you can chime in. Like, I thought that, but when she said, X, Y, and Z, I really resonated with that Z part, the X and the Y not so much, but gosh, think about how if we could take Z and kind of incorporate that into uh, reading a short story, right? It's a cool way of looking at it, and I really hadn't. That's a very relevant or doable kind of idea. And then there are others like, "Okay, yeah, fair enough. I didn't see it that way," or whatever. But you did, right? You're not finding your golden nugget so much for others. If you can share it and adjust their attitude and their perspective, even greater. But find your golden nugget really reminds you to give meaning to more of the moments in your life. Especially the mundane ones, right? The you're at work, and I'm not talking for me, like, I teach, I don't really work. It's a different concept. The connotations are totally different. I love it. Have loved it since day one. I think I'm on 31 years. Taught middle school. I've settled at high school for the past 21 years. uh, about 6 years at the university level. I've been through very young to older to right in the middle, sweet spot. Um, Absolutely love it. So I get to teach. It's not I have to work. So I have a different kind of take on what I do. But when I think like 9 to 5, go to the office, punch in and just the day in, day out routine of, yeah, but I live for Friday or the weekend, um, and finally getting my paycheck to pay my bills. Like, what a midlife, what a mediocre, just kind of ugh, existence. And I think even so, whether it's a day to day kind of thing of that nature, or just you're going about your business. Um, Find your golden nugget, right? First date, a relationship, an interaction, something you've got to do, you want to do, you have to do, whatever level of obligation. Just find your golden nugget, right? Give meaning to the process, to a moment at least, just at least one moment of the process, or expand it, right? Find your five, and it just broadens your perspective to the beauty that's out there, because it's out there. It's out there. Um, you get to decide whether you want to see it or not. And I think day in, day out, the more that becomes a routine, that you're looking for the positive, you're appreciating, right? The the light from the candle, um, or the beam from the spotlight, whatever the warmth from the sun, right? It's the more we do anything, it just that becomes routine. And so, do you want your life to just be a routine of the doldrums of a very mediocre kind of existence, and hope in the back of your mind that something positive hits you and, oh wow, yeah, that was pretty cool, or take a more assertive approach where you're taking the initiative, you're in control of your life, right? So why not put at the forefront this objective every single day? Find your golden nugget, right? Find your five. Like, make sure to appreciate something where you can plus one, where you can be a plus one at the end of the day, plus one at the end of the experience. Um, that then becomes your MO. That becomes the way you roll, right? Your style of being more upbeat, being more optimistic, being more positive, being more open-minded, being more appreciative of all that is around us, and especially think of this as just such uh, a shield of protection against the times and adversity that does hit us, right? Uh, it becomes part of your character. It becomes part of just your day in, day out way of seeing the world. Because just as much as you can see, the glass half empty, it's also half full. And that's your choice. So go out, find your five, uh, find your golden nugget. Have a great day. Take care.